Hello, my name is Daniele, and I'm also a student in here, a master's student in behavioral economics and game theory. So I'm going to go a bit less into the technical part that we explored before. There were really interesting presentations. I would like to link this to the professor's speech. That was really good, and I think that universities should be to what is new. They should be looking at the future, not at the past. So sometimes we learn things from the past that we're not going to use, and we really need to know the new things. So apart from this, I'm here presenting the company, GBB, their mission, their ambition, where are they going to work, what's their idea around the Sapphire market. It's like a mouse, great. And we're going to go through 4 parts. From the project background, so as I said, we're going to have a look at macroeconomic perspective, that is more or less my subject, of the Sapphire market. So we're going to see why Sapphire, how this is linked with blockchain, why this framework is interesting for this market. We're going to go through the company itself, their characteristic, the regulation, and then to see more about the core of the project team and let you know the important figures there. So, talking about the project background, we said we're talking about Sapphire. So, it's not only about jewelry. That's the first thing I was thinking about when I said, okay, Sapphire. It's one of the hardest minerals in the world. You can make great things out of it, but it's a really important raw material for a lot of the new products we have right now. For example, LED screens, for example, militaries, space instruments. And this created a huge demand for a new platform, for a new index that can take into account that, as we are doing with gold already. So at the beginning you might say, okay, gold is much more important than Sapphire. I might have heard it only for luxury goods. It's actually used for a lot of things in our modern industry and digital industries. And this coupled with blockchain. So why this is a really good idea? We saw it before. One of the main reasons, transparency. So you can avoid one of the most important inefficiencies of our markets. One of the things we always study in economics lectures are market failures, and one of these is information asymmetry. If we can get through this, get rid of it, avoid the differences in information we have in an exchange, we can drive the free market toward efficiency much better, and blockchain might be the perfect instrument for that, as we saw before. We can have immutable informations that stay there. We know the history of our clients, and in a market like Sapphire is really useful because we have a big supply chain that comes from the mines. It's like mining now, it's about the stone itself, the mineral itself, not a Bitcoin. And I'm gonna have to do like this. And other advantages come from the cash flow you can get from a platform like that. That is really important for a really investment-based industry like the Sapphire one. And you can get connections. So yeah, we're talking about investments, but it's also about a possible extension. So it's not a really developed market. If you think about Sapphire, you won't think about a huge market, but we will see this in the next slide. There are lots of uses for it, as I was saying before. It's used for graphene, it is used for your smartphones, for example. So every LED screen is now making use of Sapphire substrate because, for example, other types of material they attempted, they were inefficient, or even if it's costly to have Sapphire there, that was one of the weaknesses of using Sapphire in a market like that. It's much more usable and compatible for that technology. Other uses come for space, military. So, and what is really important if you do a market analysis of the commodity is that there is a huge demand that is still not met. In China, 40%, that is really a lot. Again, because there is not an index, there is not a market for that, there is not a place where to look for information, and it's really easy to find someone selling you glass instead of the mineral. That's why blockchain could be really a solution for that. And talking about GBB itself, it's a company that, as I said, is developing these projects mainly in blockchain, trying to build up and win the race to get an index for this raw material, and already had a license to work in, and this is really important. I'm going to stress this because compliance is a fundamental thing in this developing market. So you need to stay in the rules, you need to show that you're following a certain process, and that is what they did with the recent license in FinTech. So those are the main objectives. Not only a Sapphire index, but also something accessible to customers. So a strategy that makes use of possible accessibility ideas. We're going to talk about that. For example, mobile applications, using the application directly on your phone and trading from there. That is really important thing. Extension to other ETF and other financial market products like derivatives, that is also another objective. And the technological development coming from that. And we studied 3 main scenarios, 2 investment, 1 and 1 consumption. In the investment, we not only see the supply chain we just described, that goes from the miners to the final users in the industry, but also for a secondary market purpose, that we see up on the left. So people can, if they want, just trade the commodity itself, like we do for gold. And the other scenario, it goes into consumption. So if you want, you can directly use the tokens you earn on the platform. For example, not only on Sapphire itself, but also on goods, spot market goods, and there is also a strategy for opening shops directly in the real world in cities. That is really an important feature of this ecosystem. So as we said, there are three main characteristics that the company is trying to push. So quality measure, 4C, so respecting some standards for the commodity. Having a mobile mining, that means removing barriers to access to the market, making it user-friendly and as accessible as possible. So also make it so that the computing power needed is shared within the network, and that is really important because obviously alone you cannot enter, you cannot have the resources to do that. Therefore, you're going to share inside the network itself. And then the creation of a currency parallel, that is the token you're gonna earn from the exchanges. And those are really important in their plan because, as you see in here, there is the possibility to create a Sapphire brand itself. So open shops is not only something that stays in the digital world, it's also something that can be used in a real economy. And this is really important because you have to create this bridge into the real economy. And those are the numbers that stay behind the company because they need to have sort of reserve of the mineral itself, and this is what is it behind it. So 20 million carats of Sapphire is not something that is not there, it's only digital. They have the commodity, and they are trying to build a trading institution around it. And this is what I was talking about before, importance of compliance. They just had their license from FinCEN approved, so this was an important step for the company to go on and receive good reviews from users. Those are the rest of the information. contained in there. If you want, you can have a look at it also on the website of the company. And those are some of the news we were talking about also after the video we saw. There were a lot of scandals around Bitcoin, and already the name to a normal person that is not really informed about the subject make him think about scams or bad investments. But the important thing is to be informed. First of all, inform yourself, and then be compliant with the rules. That's why it's so important to have a license. As we were saying before with Nicole, it's important because we are at the first stages of the development, so it's important to follow rules, and in this case, there is an approval from a government institution. So now I'm gonna present you the core team of the company. Those were the numbers I was talking about before. So I don't know if you can really see it, but yeah, in here, 20 million carats and 80% of the circulation, so quite a lot. The company has reached 6 million carats in a national jewelry market, with the only national title has been formed. So. And the rest of the team, as you can see, those are the main figures: the CEO, and strategic development, together with a material engineer that is really useful in a field like that where you need specialistic skills. So I want to thank you all for the attention. Thank to the Association of Chinese Students that made me talk in here. So that was really useful, and thank you to Nicole for the preparation and everything.